ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमा प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुर्भ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमोस्तुते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दाय पत्र नेत्रे येन त्वया भारत तैलपूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः प्रपन्ना परिजाताय तोत्र वैत्रैकपाणिये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृता गुहे। Starting a new section in Bhagavad-gita, chapter 7 to 12, entitled as Bhakti Yoga. This chapter has 30 verses and it has 5 themes. So in general, this chapter talks about Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord and Krishna's relationship with his energies, types of energies of Krishna, and how do different kinds of people approach Krishna. So there is also a section dedicated to demigod worship within this chapter. That's how this chapter is divided. Let's start with verse 1, chapter 7. Knowledge of the Absolute, text 1. Shri Bhagavano Vacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madhashraya Asamshayam Samagrang Mam Vithagyasasi Tatshino. Supreme Lord said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. In the previous verse, 6.47, Krishna said, Yogi nama sarvesham madgati nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yoma samay yukta tamah mata. Of all the yogis, one who is always thinking of me is most uh, closely connected to me or united with me in the path of yoga, on the path of yoga. So to be closely connected to Krishna, one has to know Krishna. One has to understand Krishna, right? Free from doubt, asamshayam, then one can be attached to Krishna. Attachment to Krishna can be um, only sentimental, which sometimes people have. They're only sentimentally attached to Krishna without knowing Krishna Tattva. Who is Krishna? They're just attached to Krishna, but they don't know really who Krishna is. So Krishna says, when you know me in full, free from doubt, then um, you can have your mind fully attached to me, right? And you can practice yoga in full consciousness of me, both ways. Fine. So now let's read the purport here in this chapter. Mm. In this seventh chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the nature of full Krishna consciousness is the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, four kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and four kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first six chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of the sixth chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubt. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahmajyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as described in the last verse of the sixth chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tat Shruno, or hear from me. So this is a, you can say, a realization of the text, hmm, based on one's understanding of the Vaishnava Siddhanta and the heart of Krishna, the mood of Krishna. The acharyas, they bring their commentaries. When you say it's a commentary or a vaksha, an explanation, that explanation is because of the acharya understanding the mind of Krishna, right? So here, when Krishna is telling to Arjuna, touch, that you hear, you listen, right? So then a question may arise in the mind of a reader that Arjuna was attentively listening to Krishna. They were standing on the battlefield, they were having a dialogue, and Krishna is talking to Arjuna. Arjuna is not spaced out. Arjuna is not um occupied with some other thoughts. He is standing in front of Krishna and all ears to Krishna. So why does then Krishna have to say to Arjuna, now hear, or you hear? So the acharyas are then explaining that because Krishna wants to emphasize the process of Shravanam, as he's going to begin the explanation about Bhakti Yoga. And on the path of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam is the first step. So therefore Krishna is saying that Shruno, you hear Arjuna. Hmm? Right. So we can develop one uh, way of learning from the scriptures, that why Krishna is telling so, why is he using this particular word, and then when you know the scriptures sufficiently, you will get very beautiful realizations on contemplation of why Krishna said so. Just like here, Prabhupada is explaining why is Krishna saying just hear, because in bhakti, hearing is the first step. So that's why he's saying Tachano, or Arjuna, you must hear. Bhakti begins by hearing about Krishna, right? That's the way it begins. Only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna, right? Hmm. So we'll read the purport further. Tachano, or hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart, puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the second chapter of the first canto as follows. Shinvatang Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhitsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki Tadarajastamo Bhavaha Kamalobhadayascha ye Cheta ete dhanavidham Stitang Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vikyanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Granthesh Chityante Sarva Samshayaha Shriyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Eva Atmanishvare. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad-gita is itself a righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lusts and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affliction and enables one to come at once to the stage of asangsayam samugram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. So, why is hearing that important? Because hearing sets apart attitude, and a certain kind of attitude is required to understand Krishna. Mm, we have to sufficiently hear about Krishna on regular basis, right? Then one can um, one can know Krishna or understand it. Through hearing, one develops love for Krishna. Through hearing, one develops attraction for Krishna. Through hearing, one develops knowledge of Krishna, right? Therefore, one should hear. Uh, Kekai, why did she become so full of hatred towards Lord Ramachandra? Because she heard about Lord Ram from the wrong source. She heard about Lord Ram from Manthara, who envied Lord Ramachandra. Though Kekai loved Lord Ram so much more than her own son Bharat, her love for Ram withered away because of hearing the wrong messages about Ramchandra from the wrong source. And overnight, her heart towards Ram changed just because she heard from the wrong source. So similarly, uh, in Krishna consciousness, we have to hear about Krishna from the right source on a regular basis. Right? Now, that hearing should not be a formality. That hearing should not be mechanical. That hearing should not be just to mark attendance in the class. Mm, right? That hearing should be not to impress someone. Mm. That hearing should be because I have a hunger to know about Krishna. Right? Uh, Many a times we engage in devotional practices in iskcon because it becomes a culture for us. Right? Why go to Jagannath Rath Yatra festival? Because others will also come, I also have to go. Why go to the class? Because if I don't go to the class, someone will notice and someone will point to me, right? Isn't it? So why I should do this? So I should do this because it's a social need or it's a cultural need or there is some ethic involved in it. Okay, it's my duty. It's good to do it for that reason also. But then doing it for that sake will not satisfy the soul. The Atma, the soul, will be nourished only when I hear about Krishna with a desire to know Krishna more or to understand Krishna more, right? To develop love for Krishna more. So that kind of hearing should be done. That's very, very important. Now, that can be done in the form of hearing, or also that can be done in the form of reading. But then one should hear or read in that way, right? Fine. Now, I can tell you something very interesting. If you are sitting in a class and you heard the class, or if you are reading a book and you read the book, but you did not get a realization, you did not read or you did not hear. Why? Because if I heard attentively or I read attentively, then Krishna will speak to you. And when Krishna will speak to you, you will get a better or a new realization. You will get a better understanding of the same shloka, the same text. But if Krishna does not speak to me, or Krishna does not, as we say every day, that Divya Jnana Hriday Prakashita. If Krishna does not reveal the knowledge to us, then even after hearing for a long time or reading for a long time, our experience will be it was only a mechanical exercise. Fine. So that's how here it is said that one should hear and one should hear from those who have love for Krishna. Right? Sri Srimad Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj used to say, quote this verse, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hitayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Chinta Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Maharaj used to say that one can see Krishna, Lord Shyamasundara, Only if one has the salve of love on one's eyes. Anjana, prema anjana churita bhakti vilochanena. One's eyes are covered by the salve of love. Then one can see Krishna. Now, how does that salve of love get created? So Maharaj said, Anjana is something which you can go to the market and buy with few rupees and put it on your eyes. So he said, but that Anjana, he's saying we are not talking about that Anjana. We are talking about the Anjana of love. And he said that Anjana of love gets manufactured in the heart. Heart is the factory to manufacture that Anjana. But how does that Anjan get manufactured? When you hear about Krishna from those who love Krishna, then that sound enters the ear, enters the heart, and then it creates a environment in the heart, a particular environment in the heart. That environment then makes us see Krishna everywhere through our eyes, isn't it? But that is only possible when I read or hear about Krishna very attentively in a devotional mood or attitude. Then that Anjan is created. Okay, otherwise not. Next verse 7.2. Jnanam teham savikyam idam vakshyami asheshatah yajñatvaneha bhuyonyach jnatavyam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. I'll give you complete knowledge. Therefore, Prabhupada says Bhagavad-gita is the science of complete knowledge about the Supreme Lord or Krishna consciousness. Jnana Vijnana. Now, different acharyas have explained what does Jnana and Vijnana mean. So, one point is Jnana is phenomenal knowledge, theoretical knowledge. Please don't mark on the screen. So, phenomenal knowledge or theoretical knowledge, right? Which talks about Krishna's material and spiritual energies. And what is Vijnana? It is numinous knowledge, which talks about Krishna's personality and sweetness. It's realized knowledge. Aishwarya Jnana and Madhurya Jnana, basically. Jnana and Vijnana. So, chapter 7 and 8 talk about mostly Krishna's Aishwarya, greatness. Chapter 9 talks about Krishna's sweetness. And chapter 10 and 11, they talk both about Krishna's greatness and sweetness. Like to give you an example, when Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. What is this knowledge? Is it Gyan or is it Vigyan? It's talking about Krishna's sweetness or it's talking about
Vigyan,
Krishna's greatness.
Vigyan, it
Sweetness.
is a realization.
Sweetness.
It's talking about Krishna's sweetness. It's talking about Krishna's greatness. It is Jnana. It's talking about Krishna's relationship with material and spiritual energies. Right? Then if Krishna says that Matah parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya, there is no truth superior to me.
Sweetness.
No, again, this is jnana. Talking about Krishna's great, huh? Right? When Krishna says, of all the elephants, I am Airavata.
That is also
Greatness.
That is
Greatness.
greatness.
Krishna's
Greatness.
greatness. That is Krishna's greatness. Right? But then when Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. You offer me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or little water, I'll be pleased. What is that? That is talking about Krishna.
Sweetness.
Sweetness.
Sweetness. Sweetness. Sweetness. He
Talking about
loved towards
Krishna's
us.
sweetness. That is personality and sweetness. So that's Vijnana. Okay. So these two chapters, these chapters, they give these two kinds of knowledge. Jnana, Vijnana, Sahitam. Realized knowledge. Let's read the purport. Ashoka Nature Group.
Hare Krishna Bolu. Dandavat Pranam. I shall, translation, I shall now declare unto you in this full knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Purpose. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the fourth chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad 1.3 says, Kasmin Bhagavo Vidyayate Sarvam Idam Vigyatam Bhavati. Hare.
Tasmino Bhagavo Vigyate Sarvamidam Vigyatam Bhavati. Yes, so if you know Krishna, you know everything. That's explained here. Next verse. Now, who can understand all this about Krishna? Can everyone understand? So Krishna says, no. Only rare people can know this about Krishna. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschinmam vetti tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. Perfection means self-realization. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Hmm. So, Manushya Naam Sahasreshu. So many people may endeavor for perfection. That also are not many. But out of those so many, only few or one may know Krishna in truth completely. Vaiji Mataji, please with the first paragraph.
There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first six chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendent impersonal Brahman realization thought this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sri Pada Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in the first paragraph, Prabhupada is explaining that even if one has attained realization of impersonal Brahman, still for that person, it's difficult to understand Krishna. Which means what? Even if one has realized I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, I am Atma, that is also self-realization. Even such a self-realized person may not always understand Krishna or may not know Krishna. Next paragraph. Varshana Vilama Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him, although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy. They cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy, as a non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.101 Shruti Smriti Purana Adi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aki अकिंकांति हरेर
Ekantiki, ekantiki.
एकांत एकांतिकी हरेर भक्तिर उत्पातया उत्पा उत्पातया
Utpata eva kalpate.
उत्पातया एव कल्पते. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literature like the Upanishad, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muhyanti yat surya. Mam tu veda na kashchana. No one knows me. The Lord says, and if one does know him, then Sam Mahatma Su Durlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is. Tatvata. Even though one is a great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees, he is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavetraya Sevonmukho hi Jivvado Swayam Eva Spruteyada. No one can understand as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. So it said here that it's very rare to know Krishna or understand Krishna in truth completely. Now one may question then, how come the jivas of Kali Yuga are so fortunate that they are getting an opportunity to know about Krishna or to understand Krishna? So that fortune is because of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that good fortune to others. Therefore we chant Namo Maha Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaur Tushe Namaha. Right? Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he explains in this way. He says, there are countless jivas, innumerable living entities. And out of that, very few are human beings. Right? In human form of life, there is a chance to hear and learn the scriptures, Shastra. But out of those humans, only few endeavor to understand the scriptures through sadhu sangha. Right? They try to see Atma and Paramatma. To To see Atma and Paramatma means to understand Atma and Paramatma. And then out of those who understand Atma and Paramatma, hundreds and thousands, one may know Krishna in truth. Right? So that rarity is made available to us because of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya. Therefore, this poet has sung a very beautiful song where he says, Uttama Adhama Kichuna Bachina Yachiya Dilaka Kola Kahe Premananda Emona Gauranga Hidaya Dhori Abola Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurange Namare Ye Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoya Amare Pranare. Says Uttama Adhama Kichuna Bachila Yachiya Dilaka Kola. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Uttama means elevated personality. Adhama means fallen soul. Kichuna Bachila. Bachila means to filter, to differentiate. He's not differentiating between elevated and fallen. Yachiya Dilaka Kola. Whoever comes to him and begs from him, give me mercy of Krishna consciousness. He gives. He gives. Right. Magnanimously he accepts one and all and gives Krishna consciousness. So that's the fortune. The fortune is borrowed by the mercy. Therefore, Prabhupada said this, one who is not a devotee is unfortunate. One who is a devotee is most fortunate. But one who leaves devotional services, most unfortunate. Leave devotional service for what? There is nothing better than that. So leave for what? If someone leaves it for something, then that person is most unfortunate. 7.4. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu khammano buddhirev cha ahankariti yamme bhinna prakritir ashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies, right? So Krishna is talking about his energies now. So material energies, separated material energy, 8 kinds of energies. Purport. Shyamala Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Purport. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in the Narada Pancharatra, one of the Satvata Tantras. Vishnostu त्रीणि रूपाणि पुरुषा ज्ञातो विदुः एकं तु महता सृष्टः द्वितीयं पण्डसस्थितं तृतीयं सर्वभूतस्थं तानि ज्ञात्वा विमुच्यते. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes 3 Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as the Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodayaka Sai Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodayaka Sai Vishnu, in diffused as the all-pervading super soul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnu expansions of the Lord Krishna. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the science of God, Krishna controllers and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad-gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestations are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in the Brahma Jyotir as they are in the Vaikuntha Lokas, and the impersonalist accepts this Brahma Jyotir as the ultimate eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all pervasive aspect of the Kshirodaya Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person and he possesses different separated and internal energies.
Thank you,
In
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Rupanshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 digentic creations or gross creation, within which the 5 sense objects are included. They are the manifestation of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, M, and it is mind, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, include 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the material creation called the Mahatattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoot from Krishna's energy and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna as it is described in the Bhagavad-gita. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, 1 or 2 clarifications of this shloka, can I ask?
Yes, why not?
Here it is mentioned separate energy. What does it mean, separate energy, and what is the opposite of separate energy? Counter.
Good question. So, separated, Bhinna Shakti. Separated means that energy of Krishna can exist and move independent of his direct control. That's called separated. That's called separated.
And opposite of separate, there must be some other energy which is not separate from Krishna.
That is the Jiva, or Krishna's internal energy.
Prabhuji, this apara and para, which is internal, which is external?
What is meant by para? If the word para is there, what is the meaning of para in general?
Spiritual energy, external.
Para means what? What is technically the meaning of word para?
Para means superior.
Beyond.
Superior,
Beyond.
yes.
So if you're talking about energy beyond, which energy will it refer to? Spiritual or material?
Spiritual.
Spiritual. So spiritual is internal or external?
Internal.
Internal. So para Shakti is Krishna's spiritual energy. Now what is the opposite of para? Apara. So that is material energy or external energy or separated energy.
Okay. So this separated and external means the
Same.
same thing, no?
Same.
Okay.
You
One
call
more
it
clarification.
separated, you call it external, you call it material. It's the same.
External and separated is the same.
Yeah, or you call it material energy.
Material. Babuji, one more clarification. Here in this purport it is mentioned, there are no spiritual diversities in the Brahma Jyoti as there are in the Vaikuntras. So what is the spiritual diversities in the Brahma Jyoti which are not there in the Vaikuntras?
It says there are no spiritual diversities in Brahmajyoti. Brahmajyoti has no spiritual diversity at all. There is no spiritual diversity at all in Brahmajyoti. You have to unmute yourself, Prabhu.
No. What does this spiritual diversity mean? I'm not able to understand.
Yeah, what does spiritual diversity mean? Very good question. So, what does spiritual diversity mean? What do other students say? What does spiritual diversity mean?
Prabhuji, spiritual diversity in the sense we can serve in different forms, Prabhu. Like Swanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Dasyam Sakyam, all those things in spiritual world also we can able to do. But in the Brahma Jyoti, we will be just float in the Brahma Jyoti. That's it. We cannot do the we cannot do personal puja to the Krishna.
That is the meaning of spiritual diversity.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I?
Yeah.
Spiritual diversity refers to like there are different kind of devotees with different nature. They have different abilities to serve. So that's spiritual diversity.
So you have different devotees with different nature to serve in material world. Within material world, also in the planet Earth, you have devotees with different moods to serve Krishna. So that is also called spiritual diversity.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. One thing which I would like to point out is that, if you really want to study Bhagavad-gita nicely, or you want to understand Gita or any other book of Srila Prabhupada properly, then you should ask questions, the kind of questions which Ashok Prabhuji asks. You know, one thing I appreciate about his questions is that his questions show that he's reading attentively. Uh, like, I'll give you an example. If you are reading a book on English literature, there will be two kinds of readers. One kind of reader will be, whenever he comes across a new word, he'll go to dictionary and find the meaning of that word. Right? And if you are an English teacher, you would know there are not many such readers. Many people are there who read. Even if they come across a new word, they don't have any curiosity to find out the meaning of that word. They just read. Even if they have not understood what is the emotion behind this word, what exactly this word means, what is the meaning of this sentence, what is this sentence telling, they don't understand, right? So then that reader does not really get into the mood of the text of that literature. Similarly, when Prabhuji asked, what is spiritual diversity? I asked all of you, what is spiritual diversity? So many of you were blank. Now, if you don't know the meaning of spiritual diversity, why you don't ask a question like that the way he is asking? That's my point. Why you are not asking then what is spiritual diversity? And if you know that's why you're not asking, then when I ask what is spiritual diversity, why you're not giving a correct answer? Right? So, at least in Bhakti-sastri, you should develop this style of reading or studying. Every single word in every single line, if you don't know the meaning of it, mark it. Try to understand it. Ask about it. Right? Then go to the next. That's called studying the scripture, not reading the scripture. Right? Isn't it? So now, what is the value of Bhakti-sastri or Gita-sastri? After doing the course, if someone opens the book and tells you, Prabhuji, verse number 7.4, please explain spiritual diversity. Right? Correct? So that's why please study it in that way. Now, what is spiritual diversity? What is Prabhupada's pranam mantra? Nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya deshatharini. Right? That word spiritual diversity is the translation of the word Vishesha, which comes in Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Vishesha. Vishesha means special quality or special guna. Nirvishesha means opposite of Vishesha. No diversity, no variety. So when Prabhupada is saying material Brahmajyoti is not full of spiritual diversity, what he's talking is in Brahmajyoti, there is no variety in all the ways, in forms of Nama, in forms of Rupa, in form of Guna, in form of Leela, in form of Rasa. There is no variety. There's no variety. It's just like, now if you have to give an example, it's just like only orange color. That's called no variety. But when you say orange and green and yellow and blue and black and pink, then that's called variety, Vishesha, right? Isn't it? Fine, understood. So we should know the connection of words and how is it connected? What is the message behind it? Because in some place, Prabhupada will call it spiritual variety. In some place, he'll call it something else. I should know what is the root. What is exactly the message that is conveying? Many times there are different synonyms for the same thing. Like, for example, in Sanskrit, it is called apara. In English, it can be translated as external, material, separated. So many words are there, but it means the same thing, right? It's not different. So, this is my request that please study our books in this way. You learn, then you understand, right? Then we'll be able to appreciate more that message, the teachings. Okay, therefore, I wanted to do that course. I put a message in the WhatsApp status. The art of reading and studying scriptures. How do you read and study? The art of doing it, right? So that we get more from the scriptures. So here, spiritual diversity means variety in terms of Nama, Guna, Rupa, Lila, and Seva, right? Example, like I give you color, varieties, colorful. So spiritual world is full of that. In the planets of Krishna, the abode of Krishna. But Brahma Jyoti is homogeneous. That's why Prabhupada uses the word homogeneous. Now you know the meaning of homogeneous? One type, that's called homogeneous. Isn't it? One type. What is the opposite of homogeneous?
Heterogeneous.
Heterogeneous.
Now in some place Prabhupada may use the word heterogeneous. Now you'll be scratching it. What does heterogeneous mean? It means spiritual variety. In Sanskrit, it is coming from the word Vishesha. Okay? Fine. So these, yes, any other question? So here, when Krishna is listing the energy names, he's going from gross to subtle. Bhumi, apaha, nala, vayu, kham, mano, buddhi, evacha, ahankar. So he's going from gross to subtle, right? He's going from gross to subtle. Based on that, we can understand that even in material science, how much subtle your intelligence is, that will decide which material field you will take as a matter of your study. If you are studying only about the physical objects, then it is earth, water, fire. air, you know. But if you are studying sound dynamics, then you are entering into ether, space technology, ether. Fine. Then when you're talking about psychology, then you're going to mind. So this is subtle. Therefore, even if you study material science, how many years material science has been developing? If you study the history of humanity, it's only 200 to 300 years that material science has been evolving. Correct? Isn't it? Anyone here from science background? Hmm. Material science has been evolving from last 200 to 300 years. Now, in material science also, the scientists, they first started studying about the gross physical objects. Only 40, 50, 60 years ago, people started talking about something known as mind. Then people started talking about buddhi, right? And ego, hardly people outside in the material world know what actually ego means. They connect the word ego to some kind of pride. Correct? So here Krishna is saying about these energies which are going from gross to subtle. In material science, when we are making progress, we can see now people are more interested to know upon the mind, the intelligence, the ego, psychology. They are growing in material direction, but still they have not come to the point that they can understand consciousness. When one wants to know consciousness or study consciousness, then the spiritual science begins or the spiritual study begins. Right? What is consciousness? Fine. Krishna has empowered this material energy to move separately and independently of his direct control. That's why it's called separated. This separated energy of Krishna is explained more in detail in chapter 13. The three modes of material nature is 14. Before that, we studied 13. So in that, it is explained in 13 in detail. All right. Next verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one question can I ask?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, what is the difference between Prakriti and Pradhana?
What is the difference between Prakriti
and Pradhana?
So now that is detailed understanding of the creation. When Krishna creates, it's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. First of all, Krishna provides the material energy as a lump of matter. Okay, when I say lump, it means there is no separation of what is earth, what is fire, what is earth, what is air, and that's, you can understand, that's lump. Okay, so that form of matter is known as pradhan. Understood? An example is given: a lady before being pregnant and after being pregnant. So you can say a lady before made pregnant, she is pradhan. After she is made pregnant, she is mahatattva. Both is woman only, right? Before pregnancy, after pregnancy, woman only. Correct? So you can say pradhan and mahatattva are two states or two manifestations of prakriti. Understanding? Prakriti is material energy. That material energy can be in two states, manifest and unmanifest, vyakt and avyakt. When it is manifest, then again it can be in two stages, pradhan and mahatattva. All right.
Yes, Prabhuji. But Prabhuji, when we are in this pradhana state, that time even living entities are also the part of
The living
this.
entities are separate. In that case,
Okay,
the
not
living
there.
entities are not in part of the prakriti. When the living entities are injected into pradhana, then it's called mahatattva.
Mahatattva. Okay. Okay. Fine, Prabhuji. And both together are like known as Prakriti.
Then both together is not known as prakriti. Then both together is known as a combination of material and spiritual energy.
Okay.
And because material and spiritual are both Prakriti, it's combination of one Prakriti with another Prakriti can be generally known as Prakriti.
Okay. Fine,
Right?
Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for this clarity.
Next.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just to add to this, not add to, the query here is when during the destruction of universe, all the living entities are transferred to Mahatattva Prabhuji. So that case, it is Pradhan in the beginning, and once it is transferred, it becomes Mahatattva. Is it like that, Prabhuji?
When?
During the destruction of universe, the living entities are moved to Mahatattva. So can we say that before moving it is Pradhana and later on after moving it becomes
Nothing,
Mahatattva?
nothing like that. Why you are going backwards? You start from the beginning. There is a lump of matter. A lump means you understand that all matter is mixed together. That's lump. There is no jiva inside that. That's called pradhan. When you put jiva into it, it's called mahatattva. When you're talking about destruction, it's basically undoing what you have done in the beginning. So in the beginning, from pradhan came mahatattva. From mahatattva, the entire sarga was done, right? I mean, the visarga was done, sorry, the secondary creation. So destruction is basically opposite of what happens at creation. At creation, everything gets separated. At destruction, everything is going to get merged. So from mahatattva, the jivas are separated or removed, and what remains is called pradhan at the time of destruction. Okay. The jivas are removed from mahatattva, then it's called pradhan. Whatever happens at creation and destruction, it's backward step basically of the same thing. Like during creation, we know from ether, sound came. From sound, we know then air came, right? From air, then there is touch sensation. And from the touch sensation, fire came, right? From fire, form came. From form, water came. So now this is the way things get created. So at destruction, what will happen? Going back, going back, going back, going back, going back. Like that. Reverse. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. So while destruction, all the living entities, they go back to Mahatattva and they sleep there until
Yes. And yes, and then after Mahatattva, they will just remain in Mahatattva because entire destruction has not happened. When Brahmaji's life will get over, then even this Mahatattva will be uh, divided into two, Pradhan and the Jivas, separate from each other. Then these Jivas will enter the body of Mahavishnu, that Pradhan will also enter the body of Mahavishnu.
oh, okay, 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 okay.
Yeah.
Got it, got it. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hmm.
Prabhuji wanted to ask that how is Paramatma not eternal in this spiritual world?
But how is Paramatma not?
Not eternal.
Because Paramatma does not exist in spiritual world.
It's only within us. Okay.
Paramatma is not required in spiritual world.
Yeah.
Krishna is there. Lord Vishnu is there. So his Paramatma is not needed. So it's not there. It's a form of the Lord manifested only for material world. So if there is no material world, there is no need of Paramatma.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Text 5. Apareyamitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jivabhutang mahabaho yayetam dharyate chagat. Besides this, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of the mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Exploiting Jiva Bhuta Mahabhavo Yayedam Dharyate Chaka. Exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So this exploiting tendency is also known as enjoyment tendency, right? They are superior because they are conscious. That's why they call superior energy of Krishna. But because they want to exploit, though they are superior, they come under control of the material energy. Hmm. Okay, Abhishek Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of the material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for the different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.87.30 as follows. Prabhuji, if you can read, because
Yes. अपरिमिता ध्रुवास्तनुभृतो यदि सर्वगतास् तर्हि न शाश्वतेति नियमो ध्रुवनेतरथा अजने च यन्मयं तत् अविमुच्य नियन्त्री भवेत् समम् अनुजानतां यदमतं मत दुष्टतया.
thank you, Prabhuji. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all prevailing like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as the minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities of your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position, one can they be they be controllers. Therefore, men with the limited knowledge who advocate the monastic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects are actually guided by the faulty and polluted opinions. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and all the living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are his superior energy because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of the power. While exploiting the gross and the subtle inferior energy matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon their living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusionary material energy, he attains the stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of the material illusion, thinks, I am matter and the material acquisitions are mine. This actual position is realized when he is liberated from all the material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with the God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi energies of the Krishna. And when this energy is freed from the material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll take a break now. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. 7.6. Etat yonini bhutani sarvaniti upadharaya aham kritsnasya jagatah prabhavah pralayasthatha. All created beings have their source in these two natures. All that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain I am both the origin and the dissolution. Why is Krishna giving all this knowledge to Arjuna? Because Krishna wants to help Arjuna see everything in relation to Krishna, preparing Arjuna's consciousness, how to understand and connect everything that we go through in this world to Krishna. He's giving that vision to Arjuna. That's why he's giving this knowledge. How he is related to material energy, how is related to spiritual energy. Let's read the purport. 7.6. Uma Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam. Everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is a basic field of creation and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the super soul Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord, and consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, may be the cause of a big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city, but he cannot be the cause of a big universe. The cause of the big universe is the big soul or the super soul, and Krishna, the Supreme, is the cause of both the big and small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13, Nityo Nityanam Chistananam. Hare Krishna.
Next verse. Matah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Krishna has explained before that he is the creator and he is the destroyer. Now in this verse he is explaining that he is the maintainer, right? Which means all these activities connected to material creation are executed by Krishna in different forms. How a devotee will relate to that knowledge? So anything is created, anything is being maintained, or anything will get destroyed. A devotee will see that as something which is allowed by Krishna. So a devotee will not uh, revolt against that. For example, a non-devotee gets very scared when the body gets destroyed. But a devotee does not get scared because a devotee knows that it is Krishna only who gave me birth and it is Krishna only who is giving me death. Right? So a devotee will see hand of Krishna in both creation and destruction because he has knowledge. Right? Whereas a non-devotee will think only creation is done by God, not destruction. But Krishna is the source of creation as well as maintenance as well as destruction, right? And then he's saying there's no truth superior to me. Let's read this purport. Mega Gupta Mataji, first paragraph.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Namaste Pranam. There is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad-gita is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and this is confirmed in every step. In this verse, in particular, it is stressed that the Absolute Truth is a person. That the personality of Godhead is the supreme absolute truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita. Isvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. That is, the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. This, these, author, these authorities leave no doubt that this absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Svetashvatara Upanishad 3.10, Tato yad utratram tad arupam अनामयम् य एतत् विदुर अमृतस्ते भवन्ति अथेत्रे दुःखम् इवाप्यन्ति. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entities within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings, and the lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence who has no material form and is free from all material contamination. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who don't know him suffer the miseries of the material world. May I continue, Prabhuji?
Someone else can read. Anisha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge as described in the Brahma Samhita quoted above. Other verses in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.8 to 9 substantiate this as follows. Vedaham etam purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasa parastat tam eva viditvati mrityum eti nanya pantha vidyate yanaya yasmat param na param asti kinchit yasman nanyo no jayo sti kinchit viriksha eva stabdo divi tishthatye kas tenidam purnam purushena sarvam. I know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest. He is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendental sky. And as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all pervading by his multi energies, both material and spiritual. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So there is no truth superior to Krishna. He is the basis of everything. He is supporting everything. Though is not seen, right? Like the thread is not visible, The pearls are visible. Similarly, Krishna is in the background. He is not visible to the naked eye. But the person with knowledge can understand everything is existing because of Krishna's presence. Next verse. Now Krishna explains to Arjuna with examples how he is the essence of everything. Some examples are given in verse 8, 9, 10. Examples are there. To substantiate the point explained in 7.7. Fine. Rasoham apsukon teya prabhasmi shashish suryaho pranavah sarva vedeshu shabtah ke paurusham nishu. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether, an ability in man. So, like, taste is the essence of water. So, Krishna says, I am that taste. He says, he is the heat in fire. That's the essence of fire. He is the intelligence of the intelligent. He is the ability in man. So, in that way, Krishna is telling that all the energies or Shakti or quality that an object possesses because of which that object is known. I am that. I am the essence giver. Right? So explanation is in this way. Now this verse like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These verses also talk to us about Krishna's vibhuti. They talk to us about Krishna's vibhuti. And the same subject matter will come in chapter 10 also. Fine. So Navai Krishna gave some examples here and some examples in 10. Because in chapter 7 is only introducing the concept. Chapter 10 is an explanation of that concept. Vibhuti Yoga. Fine. So this is Krishna's Vibhuti. Now, Vishesha Bhuti is called Vibhuti, which is different from Shakti. When Krishna's spiritual energy is invested in a jiva, then that jiva is called Shakti Avesh Avatar. And when Krishna's material energy is invested in a jiva, that jiva is called a Vibhuti. Understand? Understood? When Krishna's spiritual energy, like Krishna's, when spiritual knowledge is there, devotional attitude is there, something like that is invested in a jiva, then that jiva is called Shakti Avesh Avatar. But when Krishna's material energy is invested in a jiva, someone has a lot of material intelligence, a lot of material strength, a lot of material beauty, then that's called Vibhuti. So if Krishna says, I am the taste of water, what is that taste? Is that taste Krishna's spiritual energy or material energy?
Material energy.
Material energy.
Material energy. So that's why this is Krishna is talking about his Vibhuti. If Krishna says that of all the elephants I am Gajendra, or of all the elephants I am Airavata. So what is he talking about? He's talking about extraordinary physical strength. So what is that? That is Krishna's Vibhuti. Okay. So this talks about Krishna's Vibhuti. Now we'll discuss this more in chapter 10. That when you are meditating on Vibhutis of Krishna, meditating on Krishna's Vibhuti will not give you direct benefit of Krishna consciousness because those are objects invested with Krishna's material energy. But if you are meditating on Krishna's Shakti Avesh Avatar or Krishna's spiritual expansions, it will give you direct benefit of Krishna consciousness. Like Krishna says, among the beasts, I am. Among the beasts, I am.
Tiger. Lion. Sorry.
Lion. Right? Krishna says, among the beasts, I am lion. And so now you look at a lion in the zoo, or you look at a lion in the forest. And then you look at the form of Lord Narasimha, which is also a lion. Fine. One may say, if lion is a vibhuti of Krishna, so if I take darshan of lion every day, that is as good as taking darshan of Lord Narsingadev. So that is not correct. Why? Because though that lion is Krishna's vibhuti, it is Krishna's material energy. Whereas Narsingadev is Krishna's spiritual form. So now why is then Krishna giving us knowledge of vibhuti yoga? Why, how is it called vibhuti yoga? Yoga means connection. So when you look at a lion, you'll have to intellectually understand that this lion's power is coming from Krishna, and then it will give you benefit of Krishna consciousness. Just taking a darshan of lion will not give us Krishna consciousness. But if you look at Lord Narsingadev's form, even if you don't know Lord Narsingadev is Krishna himself, still you'll get the same benefit. That you are Krishna conscious, right? So this knowledge is explained to Arjuna because Arjuna is standing on the battlefield and he has to relate material energy to Krishna. Therefore, this whole subject matter is explained to Arjuna in this way. Let's read the...
Yeah, Prabhu, Prabhuji, how Maharaj Prithu was also Shakta
Satyaveshavta. So a different potency was invested in him. When we study Bhagavatam, we'll come to know the list, what potency was invested in whom, and that's why that person became Shaktaveshavta. Okay.
Okay.
In him, Krishna invested the potency of maintaining the praja in Prithu. As a king, he was a king, right? So maintaining the praja. How Krishna maintains the living entities? Krishna invested that potency in. So then he became that way Satyaveshavata. Yes, purport, Divya Vishnu.
Hare Krishna. This verse explains how the Lord is all pervasive by his diverse material and spiritual energies. The Supreme Lord can be preliminarily perceived by his different energies, and this way he is realized personally. As the demigod in the sun is a person and is perceived by his all-pervading energies. The sun shines, so the Lord, although in his eternal abode, is perceived by his all-pervading diffusive energies. The taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink seawater because the pure taste of water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste. And this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of Lord in water by its taste. The personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying tasty water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Lord. But practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conceptions are simultaneously present in everything and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established his sublime doctrine, Achinta Beda and Abeda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. The light, a little bit, the light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanating from the Brahma Jyoti, which is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord, and Pranava. And Pranava or the Omkara transcendent sound in the beginning of every Vedic hymn addresses Supreme Lord. Because the impersonalists are very, very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names, they prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara. But they do not realize that Omkara is the sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere. And who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion. And so knowledge of Krishna in liberation and ignorance of him is bondage. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So what does this line mean? Practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and there is no contradiction. What does this mean?
Prabhuji, it means that Supreme Personality of Godhead has both the impersonal and personal presentation, and both of them are actually different also.
Yeah, one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything. Everything. Why it is present? Why it is present in everything?
Because Krishna is present in everything, where without him nothing is exists.
Because Krishna is present in everything, therefore impersonal and personal conception is present in everything.
Krishna is present everywhere.
Personal conception is not mean that he's personally contributing. His energies has been contributing on it, which has been covering its personal availability there. Because for example, in an atom, which been available based on his energies inside. It's not that Krishna himself available. His energy is inside based on that.
Okay, but where did Prabhupada say here? One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception of God are simultaneously present everywhere. He did not say that. What you are saying, the meaning that you are concluding is, as if Prabhupada has written here, one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception of God are simultaneously present in everything. But Prabhupada did not say of God. Prabhupada says one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything. And there is no contradiction. So what does this statement mean? Does this statement mean Krishna is present in everything, therefore personal and impersonal conception are present in everything?
It is our understanding.
Source of
Because if
impersonal
we
and
don't
personal
understand him fully, then we are going to understand only the impersonal part. But if we understand him fully, we know God, then we understand that impersonality is just a part of the personal conception, part of God, totally.
Okay, only of God.
How everything is connected to Krishna?
Prabhuji, Krishna is the source of everything, right? Impersonal and personal conceptions also is coming from Krishna. So
Okay,
when
now
we
I ask the question in a different manner. Do you as an individual also have personal and impersonal conceptions or aspects of your existence?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes or no?
yes,
Right?
Yes.
So what is Prabhupada trying to say here? Because everything is coming from Krishna, even everything in this world has both simultaneous personal and impersonal conception. So how can God not have both simultaneous personal and impersonal conception? Understanding?
Oh, correct. Okay. Got it.
Not that Krishna's personal and impersonal form is present everywhere, Krishna is in everything. What he's saying is, because everything is coming from Krishna, you see in this world also, within your experience, everything has a personal aspect and an impersonal aspect. And they both exist simultaneously. Right? So in God also personal and impersonal exist simultaneously. Why people are debating that God is only personal or God is only impersonal? He's telling from even a material experience, we know anything has a personal attribute and impersonal attribute. Like the example of a bulb. You take a bulb. Now the bulb has a form. So that is a personal attribute because different bulb will have different forms. Some bulb will be smaller in size, some bulb will be in bigger size. Some bulbs will be cylindrical in shape, some bulbs will be spherical in shape. Correct? Right or wrong?
Correct.
The personal attribute. Now the bulb gives light which gets scattered everywhere. That is the impersonal aspect of the bulb. Because that light does not have a form. That light does not have a shape. Isn't it? So, please try to read the lines properly. What is being given? What is being explained? Please try to understand it properly. So therefore, now when devotees are telling us, as Vaishnavas, we should not become impersonal in nature. How we understand that? We understand just as Krishna has impersonal and personal aspect to his existence, as a person, I also may have impersonal and personal aspects to my existence. Therefore, there is a tendency in me to become impersonal also. You're getting it? Like when we are talking about Krishna's Aishwarya and Krishna's Madhurya, does that also not exist even in an individual jiva? An individual jiva also has Aishwarya and Madhurya. Right or wrong? When we talk about my spiritual master also has Aishwarya and Madhurya. Now, to give you an example, if you are attracted to your Guru Maharaj because your Guru Maharaj is GBC, what is that? That is Aishwarya Gyan. Right? If you are attracted to your spiritual master because he's a sannyasi, what is that? That is Aishwarya Gyan. But if you are attracted to your spiritual master because he's a pure devotee of Krishna, Rasika Bhakta, then what is that knowledge? It's Madhurya Gyan. About his sweetness, about his personality, about his position in the spiritual world. So Krishna, here it's being explained that because all this is in Krishna, you see all that also in Krishna's creation. Right? Simultaneous oneness and difference. That is Mahaprabhu's explanation about reality. It's present together. Understanding now? Okay, next verse. Punyo gandha prithivyaং cha tejaschasmi vibhavaso jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Tanushri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. Everything in the material world has a creation, certain flavor or the fragrance, as the flavor and fragrance is in a flower or in the earth, in water, in fire, in air, etc. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor which permeates everything is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original state, and this taste can be changed by the mixture of chemicals. So everything original has some smell, some fragrance, and some taste. Vibhavasu means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factory, we cannot cook, etc. And that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to a low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. Therefore, by the grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next verse. Vijamam sarva bhutanam vidhipatha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatamasvi tejas tejas vinamaham. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. Shriti Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam. Bijam means seed. Krishna is the seed of everything. There are various living entities, movable and inert. Birds, beasts, men, and many other living creatures are moving living entities. Trees and plants, however, are inert. They cannot move, but only stand. Every entity is contained within the scope of 84 million species of life. Some of them are moving and some of them are inert. In all cases, however, the seed of their life is Krishna. As stated in Vedic literature, Brahman, or the supreme absolute truth, is that from which everything is emanating. Krishna is Parabrahman, the supreme spirit. Brahman is impersonal and Parabrahman is personal. Personal Brahman is situated in the personal aspect that is stated in Bhagavad-gita. Therefore, originally, Krishna is the source of everything. He is the root. As the root of a tree maintains the whole tree, Krishna, being the original root of all things, maintains everything in this material manifestation. This is also confirmed in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. He is the prime eternal among all eternals. He is the supreme living entity of all living entities, and he alone is maintaining all life. One cannot do anything without intelligence, and Krishna also says that he is the root of all intelligence. Unless a person is intelligent, he cannot understand the supreme personality of Godhead. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Next verse. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. The strong means, okay, now we'll read the purport. But before we read the purport, let me ask you this question here from the translation. Krishna says, I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. What does this mean? I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire.
It means Krishna is devoid of passion and desire. There are three things. Either the strength is devoid of passion and desire, or the strong person is devoid of passion and desire, or Krishna as I is devoid of passion and order. I think here Krishna says it for himself.
No.
Or it is for the strong, it is for the strength.
No.
Strength in the mode of goodness.
Yes. So I am the strength of the strong. Now there are many people who are strong, but he's talking about who? Those who are strong, not because of passion and desire. Like for example, I'll give you an explanation here. Now let's say there is a person who is a heavyweight champion. Fine? All right. Now that heavyweight champion is brutally fighting with someone, kicking that person, hitting that person. All right. You see this act going in front of your eyes. So in this act, what are you seeing? That this person is a heavyweight champion and is brutally fighting with the other person. Something like, let's say, I don't know, as a child, sometimes I used to watch that WWF, right? Fine. So if you are seeing a WWF fight, so one fighter is fighting with another fighter and brutally hitting that person. Can I watch that game and then say, Krishna said in Bhagavad-gita, is the strength of the strong. So is the strength of this particular fighter is beating down the other fighters?
No problem.
No. Why? Is
It
the
has
strength of the strong?
to be selfless.
He's in the mode
Is
of
the strength of
passion.
the strong?
That is in mode of passion or ignorance.
Yeah, so that's why Krishna said, I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. So then Prabhupada is giving an explanation in the purport. The strong man's strength should be applied to protect the weak, not for personal aggression. Understood now? Yeah. So now when I see a strong person protecting a weak person, that strength is Krishna. But if someone is strong and using that strength to exploit someone else, that strength is not Krishna. Okay. Someone using that strength to protect someone, that is Krishna. Understood? Right. Otherwise, someone may say that even criminals, they are very strong, so that strength is also coming from Krishna. Right. But that strength is not Krishna. The strength of the strong who uses that strength to protect the weak, that is strength coming from Krishna. Right? That is the strength coming from Krishna. Similarly, sex life according to religious principles should be for the propagation of children, not otherwise. The responsibility of parents is then to make their offspring Krishna conscious. Right? 7.12. Ye
Krishna
chaiva,
Prabhuji,
yeah.
Prabhuji, this strength can be also understood as both physical and mental.
It can be
Here
any
this
strength. It can be any strength. Physical, mental, intellectual. If you are using that strength to protect. But here, actually, it would mean physical. Bala. It refers more to physical strength. Right?
okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Next verse. Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasastamasa ye matta eveti tan vidhi na tu aham deshu te mai. Know that all states of being, whether of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am, in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Purport, Aryan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All material activities in the world are being conducted under the three modes of material nature. Although these material modes of nature are emanations from the Supreme Lord Krishna, he is not subject to them. For instance, under the state laws, one may be punished, but the king, the lawmaker, is not subject to that law. Similarly, all the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are emanations from the Supreme Lord Krishna. But Krishna is not subject to material nature. Therefore, he is nirguna, which means that these gunas or modes, although issuing from him, do not affect him. That is one of the special characteristics of Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Next verse. Tribhir gunamaye bhave ebi sarvamidam jagat mohitam navijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. So now Krishna is talking about his connection to the three modes of material nature. Again, this topic is not explained in detail here. Will be explained later on in other chapters. It's just giving us a brief on this topic, on the three modes of material nature, and then his connection. So now a question comes. Though Krishna is everywhere, in everything, we cannot see him. Why so? What prevents us from seeing, knowing, and surrendering to Krishna? The answer is given in this verse, 7.13. What is the answer? The translation. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Why people don't see Krishna, don't know Krishna? They are deluded by the three modes of material nature, right? Therefore, they don't see Krishna. Though Krishna is everywhere, controlled by the modes. Let's read the purport. Shrishti?
Hare Krishna. The whole world is enchanted by the three modes of material nature. Those who are bewildered by these three modes cannot understand Krishna. that transcendental to this material nature is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Every living entity under the influence of material nature has a particular type of body and a particular type of psychological and biological activities accordingly. There are 4 classes of men functioning in the 3 material modes of nature. Those are purely in the mode of goodness are called brahmanas. Those who are purely in the mode of passion are called kshatriyas. Those who are in the modes of both passion and ignorance are called vaishyas. Those who are completely in ignorance are called shudras. And those who are less than that are animals or animal life. However, these designations are not permanent. I may be either a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, or whatever. In any case, this life is temporary. But although life is temporary and we do not know what we are going to be in the next life, by the spell of this illusory energy, we consider ourselves in terms of this bodily conception of life. And thus we thus think that we are American, Indian, Russian, or Brahmana, Hindu, Muslim, etc. And if we become entangled with the modes of material nature, then we forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is behind all these modes. So Lord Krishna says that living entities deluded by these 3 modes of nature do not understand that behind the material background is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many different kinds of living entities, human beings, demigods, animals, etc., and each and every one of them is under the influence of material nature, and all of them have forgotten the transcendent personality of Godhead. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, and even those who are in the mode of goodness, cannot go beyond the impersonal Brahman conception of the absolute truth. They are bewildered before the Supreme Lord in his personal feature, which possesses all beauty, opulence, knowledge, strength, fame, and renunciation. When even those who are in goodness cannot understand what hope is there for those in passion and ignorance, Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all these 3 modes of material nature, and those who are truly established in Krishna consciousness are actually liberated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next verse. Devi hesha gunamayi maya duratyaya mama eva ye prapadyante maya metantarantite. Devi hesha gunamayi. Devi means transcendental. Hesha gunamayi. This energy of Krishna is gunamayi. Gunamayi means made up of the gunas. Mama maya duratyaya. It's very difficult to overcome this energy of mine. Mama eva, only if you surrender to me, maya metam tarantite, you can overcome this deluding energy. So one can know Krishna only after one has surrendered to Krishna, not before. One can understand Krishna only after one has surrendered to Krishna, not before. Right? One can understand the world around us also only when we have surrendered to Krishna, not before. Mama eva, only surrendering to Krishna. One can get cross beyond the material nature. Nagarajan, can you read the purport, please? You can unmute yourself.
Yes. Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by the material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord. But due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult. Even though that material nature is an inferior energy because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirms this as follows. Mayam tu prakritim vidyan, mayinam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Sweta Swatara Upanishad 4.10. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of the illusory energy, can order his insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity, who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words Mam Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajoguna, passion, and Tamoguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, Sveteswadara Upanishad 3.8 confirms this in the phrase Tam Eva Viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Reva na samshayah. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Very clear purport. Prabhupada is explaining how only Krishna can give liberation. Gunas means ropes, and we are tightly bound by these ropes, right? Just like the ropes you can see here. Small, thin threads are wound around each other, and then a thicker thread is made, and then a thicker thread. In that way, the thread becomes very strong. Similarly, the gunas, they bind us. And Krishna only, or only Vishnu can liberate us from these gunas, or the influence of these gunas. No one else. Why? Because Vishnu or Krishna is nirguna, beyond the modes, right? So explanation is given. Maybe I have told this before also. Like in the case of Jaya and Vijaya, we know they were cursed, were born as demons. They wanted three births, right? Isn't it? Hmm? So in first birth, they become Hiranya, Kashipu, and Hiranyaksha. And they were killed by Lord Narasimhadev and Varahadev. Next birth, they became Ravan and Kumkarna. They were killed by Lord Ramachandra. In the third birth, they became Shishupal and Dantavakram. They were called by Lord Shri Krishna. So when Lord Narasimhadev and Varahadev killed Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, did they get liberation? No. When Lord Ramachandra killed them, did they get liberation? Only when Krishna killed them, they got liberation. Why? Because Krishna alone can give mukti beyond the three modes. And then they came as Jagai and Madhai. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them something beyond liberation. What is that? Prema, Krishna Prema. So now we can understand the difference between Krishna and Sri Chaitanya. Krishna gives liberation, but Mahaprabhu gives to give something beyond liberation, which is Prema, Krishna Prema.
Prabhuji, one question. When the Shishupal and Dantavakra, they were liberated by Krishna, why they came again and Jagai and Madai in that lower form of life?
To get Krishna Prema.
It was by their karma's reaction or their own intention was there to do something?
It's a blessing because originally we already heard that in Madhurya Kadamini, right? That originally they are Jai and Vijay. They are becoming Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksh, Ravan, Kumbhakaran, Shishupal, Dantavakra is a pastime. They are not really envious of the Lord. They are not inimical to the Lord. Yes, sir.
Okay.
They are servants of the Lord and they took these forms to serve the Lord. So that was just a Leela. Originally, in heart, they are not demonic or demons. Right?
Okay.
So now, because they did their seva, this is a reward. When Mahaprabhu came, they also got a chance to come. And when they came, they were given Krishna Prema. Fine.
Okay.
Yes. So they got a chance to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and experience Krishna Prema.
But when they did all the wrong things like torturing and murdering others, will there not be a reaction for that? Jagai Madai, or when they get liberated, Krishna Prema, everything is gone. Every sinful reaction is gone.
Very good question. So when they were torturing living entities, they did all kinds of nonsense, right? Correct? So will they not get sinful reaction for that? So do you mean to say that when Jagai and Madai tortured someone, it was an accident? Or it was an injustice towards that person?
No, Prabhuji, it was those people's karma and the entire situation was arranged in such a manner. They were used as an instrument to...
Correct. They were
Will
used
of the Lord.
Yeah, they were used as an instrument. You're getting it?
Okay.
They were used as an instrument.
Right. Thank you.
Prabhuji, it is true for everyone's life, Prabhu?
Yeah, it is true for everyone.
Okay.
Everyone is being used as an instrument only. For example, if a terrorist is coming as a suicide bomber and killing 100 people, he's also being used as an instrument only. But that doesn't mean now that person should become proud. I became an instrument. If you want to become an instrument, you become a good instrument, not a bad instrument. The point is that. Right? You want to become an instrument in Krishna's hand, become a good instrument.
But this all for birth, they were all not a good instrument. They are bad instruments.
No, the original intention was what? The original intention was not to come and slaughter people and all that. The original intention was Krishna, you as Vishnu or you in any form never get a chance to fight. So we want to come and give you that opportunity.
Okay.
That was the original intention of them coming. Jai and Vijay did not come to have fun. They came because they wanted to serve Krishna, give him a chance to fight. So Krishna then fulfilled that desire. If you want to fight with me, you can't fight like this. Go become a demon and then fight with me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I ask?
Hmm.
Prabhuji, here when we are seeing that when Jay and Vijay are born, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, so at that time we are saying that they are not liberated. by Narsingadev or Varadev. But generally, we also read in Bhagavatam, since Prahlad Maharaj was his son and one son can simply liberate so many generations. So, Prabhuji, how we understand both together?
Correct. So their liberation means what? The word liberation has got varieties of meanings. When you say mukti, if I take you from a 1 BHK house and put you in 2 BHK house, that is also one kind of mukti. You're getting it? From 2 BHK, I put you into 4 BHK, that is also mukti. So there are gradations of liberation. Now, when you are talking about Purna Mukti is what? When you are reinstated in your original position. That's called Purna Mukti, complete liberation. Getting it? Entering into Brahma Jyoti is also Mukti, but that is not complete Mukti because you can fall from there. So, what is complete Mukti? When you are again situated as an eternal servant of Krishna. So when we study that Prahlad Maharaj got this benediction, 21 generations will be liberated. This doesn't mean that immediately 21 generations they become pure devotees, premi bhaktas, and go back to Godhead. Nothing like that. There, the point that 21 generations will get liberated means the 21 generations will get a chance to execute or engage in devotional service.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, we can also understand here that Jaya Vijaya, after the first birth and second birth, till that they have come as Shishupal and Dantavakra, they were also went to Brahma Jyoti, and finally they went back to their original position at Jaya and Vijaya after.
Jaya and Vijaya, correct. Went back
Okay.
as Jaya and Vijaya.
And as a reward, they again comes as Jagai Mother.
And then they get to experience Chaitanya Leela.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, we have been reading so many places that Shiva, Lord Shiva, is the owner of the tamasic or ignorance gun, but he is not part of it, or he is not maligned by that, or he is not influenced by that. But here Prabhupada is specifically saying Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, they are influenced by ignorance and passion. Prabhuji, can you explain this? Hare Krishna.
Yes, good question. So when Prabhupada says they're influenced by mode of passion, ignorance, this means that they're in touch with those modes. So it appears that they are also under those modes. Influenced in that way. Not influenced in this way that they are actually controlled by the three modes. Influenced in that way because they are engaging those modes in some activities. They have to touch those modes. They have to be involved with those modes. And because they are involved with those modes, they cannot free you from the modes. But personally, they are not contaminated by the modes. Personally, no.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Got it.
Personally, they are not. But influence, why influence is there? Because they are with the modes. No? They are not completely away from the modes. So therefore, that influence is there.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes, Nagarajan Prabhu, question done?
Prabhuji, in 7.5, Krishna's energy, multi-energies they have mentioned in Prabhu. But
Yeah,
so
Krishna has multiple energies.
Broad category was we have seen as a spiritual energy and material energy.
Three categories are broad. Three is broad. Internal, marginal, external. That is broad.
Okay. So
but within internal also variety is there, no? Like within internal, if I ask you what are the varieties, can you tell? Within internal energy of Krishna, what are the varieties?
That is where my question, my doubt. Light energy, this all those energies we are reading, those energies mean to same.
Internal, we say light energy, that is external, no? We're talking about internal energy. What are the varieties then? Samvit Shakti, Samvit Shakti, Haladini Shakti, Sandini Shakti. These are Internal energy variety.
Okay.
Getting it?
Yes.
Yeah. Got the point?
Yes.
Now, external energy also has variety. Like earth is one energy, fire is another energy, water is another energy.
Okay.
This is variety.
Okay, bro. Got it. Thank you.
Vrindarani Mataji. You have to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna. When we speak about surrendering, how surrender can be defined?
The word surrender simply means you begin to accept that you belong to Krishna. You are Krishna's property. That's called surrender. I am Krishna's. I belong to Krishna. And therefore, Krishna is my father, Krishna is my master, Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my everything. That's surrender. Prapatti, prapannam. That feeling of dependence. I am dependent on the Lord. That's called surrender. Fine.
Yes, thank you. I have another question. In
Chat,
the case,
chat,
sorry.
right? You put in the chat.
Yes, I put it in the chat.
Can this be also said about the demons who got liberation, that they are not real demons, but it is Leela, which means the demons whom Krishna killed?
Yes, about other demons other than Jaya and Vijay.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Some may be really demons also.
Because
But those demons do have a background of some devotion to Krishna.
That's
Some
the part.
sophistication. Right. They have some background. Like Putana, she was the sister of Bali Maharaj. Right. So when Vaman Dev came, she became very attracted towards Vaman Dev. Such a nice looking young boy. I wish I can have this boy as my son. And as a mother, I would feed milk to this boy. So that desire to breastfeed came. But who is Vamana is the Lord. So she wants to breastfeed the Lord. But then when she saw that this person made my brother penniless, so then she developed another desire. I would like to kill this boy. So then she became a demon who got a chance to do both. She got a chance to try to kill Krishna, at the same time breastfeed Krishna.
Thank you. This was always confusing me because sometimes demons get a very high position, like Sarupya liberation, and it's not easy to attain. And I was confused how it can be.
Yeah, but there is some desire or some mercy of a devotee, some connection to the devotee. Like, to give you another example. Okay, Putana had this background. She was a sister of Bali Maharaj and she got this chance. Why did Aghasur? He got a chance to be killed by Krishna. You know the Aghasur, the python demon. What was his credit? We don't know, right?
No.
His credit was just that he was brother of Putana, a relative of. That was his credit. You know, so that's why he got a chance. Like that. So if you are connected to a devotee or you're connected to someone who did some devotional service to Krishna, then your fortune also takes birth in that way. All right, Vaiji Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have two questions. The first one is actually 7.3, where there is a reference to Sripad Shankaracharya, where it says that in his Gita commentary, he says that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is it possible to get a reference to that text, Prabhuji? Is it there somewhere? Because I know a lot of people who are, into, Shankaracharya and monoism. So if you can get that text, which actually says, it would be, helpful.
I don't know. Now, I've never read Shankaracharya's commentary on Bhagavad-gita. So, which exact text he commented that upon, I don't know. But
Does
then
Prabhupada make a reference to that text somewhere in any of his?
Prabhupada says at many places that Shankaracharya said in Sanskrit, I'm forgetting that text. And the English I can tell of that text. Narayan is beyond the Vyakta and Avyakta. That's how Shankaracharya says.
Okay.
That Lord Narayan is beyond the Vyakta and Avyakta, which means he's beyond everything, which means he's a supreme.
Right.
So this is how Shankaracharya comments.
Okay.
Now you can find where Prabhupada writes like this. And yes, Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Sridhi Prabhu said, Narayana Paro Vyaktat.
Okay.
Is beyond. So that's how he gives the explanation that is Krishna or Narayana is the supreme.
Okay.
Okay.
Then,
Shrishti. Okay, you have another question. Unmute yourself, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have the question that when Prabhupada says, therefore only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. So the bona fide representative, the spiritual master, is the direct manifestation of Krishna. And just recently, I was also reading in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 when Prabhupada says that in the Prabhupada that Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the entire world, he is the Charachara Guru. So I was wondering here when Prabhupada says that Lord Shiva cannot release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. But when he is, so I was just asking myself, when he is the spiritual master of the entire world, why he can't?
When Prabhupada is referring to Lord Shiva, you should know, he does not refer to Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
He refers to Lord Shiva the way people think of Lord Shiva. And how do people think of Lord Shiva?
As the
As a
supreme Lord.
demigod.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why he's addressing people's view.
Mm.
You're understanding?
Yes.
When Prabhupada is writing his commentary, he's writing for which audience? When it comes to Lord Shiva, he's not writing for us, the devotee audience. He's writing for non-devotee audience. And for non-devotees, who is Shiva? He's a demigod. So if you approach Lord Shiva as a demigod, Lord Shiva cannot give us mukti. But if you do approach Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava, Shiva can definitely bring us to Krishna, which will give us mukti.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting?
Yes.
Yes.
So if he is seen as spiritual master, then he can release us. But if he's not seen as the
if he's seen as a demigod, then no.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
But also, just one question. Hanuman, for example, he is always at the lotus feet of Lord Ram. But he has the supreme liberation. So just like for my clarification, why I don't want to differentiate between Lord Krishna and Lord Ram but I don't understand in this table why can't Lord Ram liberate Ravan?
He can liberate Ravan, but not completely. Not fully. I said liberation is there at different levels. So he can liberate Ravan, but not fully. Purna liberation, complete mukti, complete liberation will only come when one comes to associate with Krishna. Because complete understanding comes because of understanding the absolute truth as Krishna. If I understand the absolute truth as Sri Ram, my understanding of absolute truth is not complete.
But eternal servants of Lord Ram are still
That
on the
is
higher
that is a
platform.
different thing. That's a different thing. That's because they have done sadhana bhakti, no? They were not
Yes.
killed by Lord Ramchandra. That's why they become eternal servants of Lord Ramchandra.
Mm.
They
Okay.
did sadhana bhakti.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Vaishya Mataji, I think you had another question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, so if you talk about the philosophies, Advaita, I understand monoism, so we can remove that. So Madhvacharya is Dvaita, if I'm not mistaken, and Ramanujacharya Sri Sampradayam is Vishishta Advaita. So how is Dvaita and Vishishta Advaita different from Achintya Bhed and Abheda Tattva? Are they the same? Is the concept the same, or are they actually differences in these
They are
tattvas?
different.
Okay.
They are
Would you,
differences.
what are the, broadly, what would be the difference, Prabhuji? Because in all these, there is the understanding that, the soul and super soul are different.
Okay, so that's a big subject. If you want to know this subject more nicely, go to my channel and watch the series called God's Great Plan.
Okay.
In that, we have described every single philosophy, Ramanuja's philosophy, Madhva's philosophy, all that is there.
Okay.
Right? Shankara's philosophy in detail, in
Okay.
proper detail. So you watch that for your better understanding.
Okay.
All right. So
Yes, thank
there's a subtle difference between all the philosophies.
Okay.
And that subtle difference was because they had to preach based on time, place, and circumstance.
Oh.
So that's why that subtle difference is there.
Okay. But broadly, this thing is the same.
Vaishnava Siddhanta is the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Broadly, Vaishnava Siddhanta is the same.
Okay.
But that Vaishnava Siddhanta was tailored
Mm.
based on time,
Okay.
presented based on the audience. Right? Why Ramanuja's philosophy is called Visheshta Advaita? Because Ramanuja could not directly oppose Shankaracharya because of the time difference.
Okay.
Ramanuja came just little after Shankaracharya.
Mm.
So he could not completely oppose Shankaracharya. If he would have completely opposed Shankaracharya, no one would have accepted Ramanuja. So Ramanuja said, okay, Shankara is saying something, I'll just add something to it and make it Vishishta Advaita.
Okay.
Getting it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Then, but when Madhva came, Madhva said Shankaracharya is totally wrong. That's why he said no Advaita, complete Advaita. Like that, it was kind of you can say it was like more of a trick or a strategy. But main principle Vaishnava Siddhanta is completely opposite to Mayavad or Nirvishesh. Bhad.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Om Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In text 6, there is a phrase that says that the child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, his spirit soul, is present. Is the soul that is making the child growing? Or
Yes. Because of the presence of the soul. It's not just about growth. Any change which is there in the body is because of presence of life. And presence of life means presence of soul. So that's why that change is there. If there is no soul, there won't be life. And if there's no life, there won't be any change. Neither growth will be there, neither maintenance will be there, neither production of byproducts will be there. Nothing will be there. Right?
that
So
means
it's because of the soul.
the spirit is life. Okay.
Spirit is life. Life comes from spirit.
Okay.
Therefore. Okay, Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Prabhuji, I'm a little confused that if you go to Vaikuntha Lok, isn't that you do not get complete liberation there?
No, it's not complete liberation still.
But you do
Because
not
you have not completely realized rasa. No. Your realization of rasa is incomplete. Complete realization of rasa is only when you realize Krishna, the
Yes.
source of all rasas. When you go to Vaikuntha, you have not realized Krishna, you have realized Vishnu. Now, Vishnu is not a complete manifestation of all rasas. So it is liberation, but it is not Purna Mukti or Purna liberation, complete liberation.
Prabhuji, when we say Bhagwan realization, it means Krishna realization only then.
See, when you say I love Krishna, that love to Krishna also has gradations, right? Similarly, when you say liberated, that liberation also has gradations. It's not that someone who is in Vaikuntha is not liberated. Someone who is in Vaikuntha is also liberated. But if someone is in Goloka, he or she is more liberated. Just like when you talk about the rasas, Shanta ras, Dasya ras, Vatsalya ras, Madhurya ras. So all the rasas someone is enjoying, that devotee is called a lover of Krishna or a pure devotee of Krishna. Correct? But at the same time, you say those who are in Madhurya rasa, they are more pure. Right? So that differentiation is not the differentiation which happens in material world, that this is pure, this is impure. There are gradations in purity itself. So liberation, being in Brahmajyoti is also one kind of liberation. Entering into Vaikuntha is also another kind of liberation. Then in Vaikuntha, being an associate of Lord Ramchandra is another kind of liberation. Being an associate of Krishna in Golokdham is another kind of liberation. Complete liberation is when you are with Krishna in that. Fine. Which means there is refining of it. Just like when we say love for Krishna, we call it prem. But when you study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, then Rupa Goswami says prem is just the beginning. Then after prem there is sneha, then there is a mana. So what is that then? That is development of prem. Now if prem is the highest, how can there be further development? Fine. It's just like sugar is sweet. Yes or no?
Yes.
Jaggery is sweet. Yes or no? Jaggery. Jaggery, good. Yes.
Yes.
Mystery is sweet.
Yes.
Rock candy. Yes or no?
Yes.
All three are sweet.
Yes.
But at the same time, mystery is more sweet than jaggery, and jaggery is more sweet than sugar. Similarly, liberation is there. Love is there. But there are gradations of love, gradations of liberation. You can't call sugar as not sweet. Sugar is sweet, but jaggery is sweeter. Rock candy is more sweet. Okay.
It's very difficult to attain. Prabhuji.
Very difficult to understand.
Very
Yeah,
difficult.
that is true. That is very true. It's difficult to understand.
But what if someone is on a lower level of prema, like a follower of Ramachandra? Can this be eternal position for that
Yeah,
jiva?
yeah, possible. Eternal position. Eternal position. So for that jiva, it's the best position, it's the highest position. But that jiva is the highest. Because that is that jiva's constitutional position. But then there are gradations. Fine.
Yes, thank you.
So a question comes then, which we will discuss in Madhurya Kadamini. If Madhurya Ras is the highest, why not everyone aim for Madhurya Ras then? If Krishna is the topmost, why not everyone aim for Krishna then? Why be satisfied with Ramchandra? Why be satisfied with Dasya Bhav? Right question may come, isn't it? Isn't it? Because that is not in your capacity. It's beyond your capacity. So why no Madhurya Ras? It's not in your capacity. That's for constitutional position. Though now it is beyond your capacity, it doesn't mean now you're frustrated. You are not happy. Oh, I am only in Dasya. You are completely happy in that. However, from your perspective, when you look at devotee in Madhurya Ras, you are able to appreciate that the Madhurya Ras Bhakta is more close to Krishna. Since there is no envy there, no problem. Problem is here because we have envy. Got it? Because we have envy, we think why he or she the topmost, why not me? There it's okay. You are in the Ase Bhav, you're completely satisfied. And still when you look at someone at Madhurya Bhav, you appreciate, oh, that devotee is more close to Krishna, but you don't envy. You're satisfied. You're happy. Okay. Fine, we'll stop here. Today the class went very long. See you next week. Tomorrow is Rath Yatra. Happy Jagannath Rath Yatra.